Hello, my name is Constance, and this is the Yarning Over the Days podcast. I wasn't sure about starting a podcast because I enjoy watching so many podcasts, but then I really love knitting, and I've been knitting for about 10 years now, and I really wanted to share some of my creations and my thoughts and my trials and tribulations and things that I go through with knitting. And so I figured, why not start a podcast? I'm not sure how all of this works, but I'll begin with my, introduction. I am on Ravelry as cleocmc, that's CLEOCMC. I'm also on Instagram, where I share many of my projects and works in progresses as cleocmc also. And I have a Twitter account, but I don't update it frequently, so I'm not going to worry about giving you that account. And I also have a blog, yarningoverthedays.wordpress.com. So those are the places that you can find me, and I want to just go ahead and get started. Hopefully I won't say a lot. I am a doctoral student here at the University of South Carolina in Columbia. I just started in August, right after I finished my master's program, where I received a Master in Library Science in Archives and Records Management. And so I've been here coming up on a year, and it was a very successful first year. And I really enjoy everything about cultural institutions, archives, libraries, and museums. Those are my research interests, but I won't go into detail because I want to talk to you about knitting. And while this would mainly be a knitting podcast, I also sew. I'm a very basic sewer. Well, not basic, I'll say average. I do have some sewing skills. I can follow a pattern, but I'm no expert. And also crochet. I like to crochet. The last crochet project I had was in January. It wasn't that long ago. I did a baby layette set for a church member. So I do like to crochet, so crochet will be featured. So let's get started. I first wanted to talk about some of my recent finished objects. Recently, being a doctoral student has been really busy, and I haven't had much time to knit. I mainly like to knit sweaters, but carrying around a book bag full of books with a sweater was just not really conducive. So I first started creating little small cardigans, because like I said, I like cardigans and sweaters for my American Girl doll. And I love American Girl dolls. And so I created, let me show it to you really quickly, a small sweater for my American Girl doll using Knit Picks palette and Limeade Heather. So I posted on Instagram about wanting to carry along small projects, and one of my followers said, why don't you try socks? And I said, I don't know. I never tried socks, so I figured, let me give socks a try. It wouldn't hurt. I don't wear socks much. I'm mainly a dresses with tights girl, but I figured socks might be something fun to work on, and man, did I fall down the rabbit hole. I love creating socks. I would have never ever thought that I would enjoy creating socks so much, but it's such a pleasure. So the first finished pair of socks that I created was the Interchange Socks, which is from Stranded Magazine's first issue. And I always liked this pattern when I had the magazine, but I never thought that I would create the socks. I just thought that they were really cute. And the yarn is really special to me because when I was in my Master of Library Science program, we studied abroad in Copenhagen and in Denmark. And while there, I saw a woman knitting in one of the churches we were touring, and she told me about a yarn shop called Sommerfløgen. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. And in Copenhagen, and I went there to pick up some souvenir yarn, and this was that yarn from the trip. And it's called Mayflower 1 class. It doesn't have a color, it just had numbers, but it's a type of royal blue. And I really like how the socks came out. There was an error in the pattern, which you can find. I noted it on my Ravelry page. And so the socks aren't perfectly formed because the error kind of made the toe of the second sock I don't know if you can see that. It was kind of like wonky. I blocked it out and I'm fine with it. But I like that. So those are my interchange socks. After doing that pattern with the cable needle, and I don't know how to make cables yet without a cable needle, I didn't feel like having a finicky pattern, and I wanted to try a vanilla sock. So I decided to try a vanilla sock using a fun yarn. I don't wear variegated yarn in my garments because I'm just not a fan of how it looks against my skin, and the busyness usually hides patterns and cables. And so I was thinking with the vanilla sock, I could wear a fun yarn that's on my feet, and yeah, so I created this vanilla sock using Knit Picks Stroll hand painted, and the color is Koi Pond, which I think is absolutely beautiful. I named these socks Order of the Phoenix. I was watching Harry Potter Order of the Phoenix while watching it, and I just felt like that would be the perfect name for these socks because of those flashes of orangish red that looks kind of like fire. It reminds me of Dumbledore's Phoenix. I did first off, I used Yarngasm's basic sock pattern. I'm not sure the exact name. I don't think it's basic sock, but I'll put it in the show notes, which I'll have available on my blog. She did a 2-inch cuff. I didn't want to do a cuff that large, and I did a 1-inch cuff. She also, I think, had a 6-inch leg, and I was going for a 5-inch leg. However, I made an arrow on the second sock, and I just kept knitting. So one sock has a 5-inch leg, and the other has a 5.5-inch leg. So it's a little bit longer, but I figured it wouldn't matter. And it's a slip stitch heel, and also I cast on 56 stitches. Again, all of the details are on my Ravelry page because I can't think of them all right now. But it's a basic vanilla sock that I really enjoy making. So after I had the really complex pattern, then I went to the super simple pattern for socks. I was like, oh, the super simple bored me. The complex kind of got on my nerves. So I was like, I need something in the middle, something just right. So I made the eyelet rib sock. And this is from the book by Knit Picks Socktacular, and it's called Eyelet Rib Sock, if I'm not mistaken. I named it Broadchurch because I was watching Broadchurch while creating these socks, and it was my first time watching the show, and I loved it. I really enjoyed it. I finished all of it, and I'm really, really anxious to see the next season because I think it's going to be quite enjoyable. This yarn is Knit Picks Stroll in Glimmer, and the color is Runway. My favorite color is pink. I love pink, all shades, soft pink, blush pink, salmon pink, hot pink, whatever pink. I just think pink is the best color ever. And it's funny because pink is my favorite color, but my favorite color to wear is green. So I create more green garments and clothing and wear more green clothing items. But pink is my favorite color, but green is definitely a close second because I really enjoy it against my complexion and skin. So that's that sock pattern. It was quite fun. Like I said, it kept things interesting, yet it wasn't too complex, and I enjoyed it. Oh, and here's the second sock. I don't think I showed you the second sock for the vanilla sock yarn. Oh, it's that sock there. But yeah, so those are the finished socks. So I did 3 pairs of socks, and then I figured I would join Yarngasm's box of socks knit along, and I'm hoping that I will be able to finish 12 by the end of the year. We'll see how that goes. I'm still kind of behind because we're in month 6, yes, June, and I only have 3 pairs of socks, so I need to play some catching up, but I'm sure that shouldn't be a problem. Okay, my next finished object is actually the Sycamore Vest by Hannah Fettig in her Home and Away book. I saw this vest on Instagram. An Instagram user created the vest, and I think Hannah Fettig's patterns are so beautiful, but it's not my typical style or the style that I would flock to. So, but when I saw this Instagrammer's picture, I really love this vest, and I thought that it could be a basic wardrobe staple. So I bought the book just for the vest alone, and the patterns in the book are beautiful, each and every single one of them. There's not one pattern in that book that I don't like. And I actually have plans to make a cardigan from that book, for my sister, because she's a minimalist, and she's also vegan, so she doesn't want me to use wool yarn. But she asked that I make her a vest that could go with everything, that she could just wear with everything. And that's what I like about that book. She loved the pattern, is that they're nice classic garments that I think will last for years and years to come. And it's just easy to throw on. If I'm trying to say it right, when you're rushing out the house, you want to go somewhere, you want to look put together, yet you still want to look nice and easy. Yeah, something like that. So I purchased the book, and I used the exact same yarn that was suggested for the pattern, Quince & Company's Chickadee, and I instead used the color Carrie's Yellow. And I love this yarn. Quince & Company's yarn has such a consistency and bounce. I could literally look at another knitter or crocheter's finished object or garment or gauge swatch, and I can tell if it's Quince & Company because of how it looks. There's no other yarn like it, and I think it's beautiful. So I created the Sycamore Vest. Okay, it looks, I don't know if you can see it. It's a really simple pattern, and after a while I did get bored with it, but the ribbing does keep things interesting, and it's created by just using knit and purl. And I went into details on Ravelry. I didn't make many changes. I did shorten the collar by 5 rows because I was running out of yarn. I did get gauge, and I don't know why I was running out of yarn, and I'm glad that I made that decision to shorten the collar by 5 rows because I had just enough to do the armholes, and the armholes are just 6 knit rows if I'm not mistaken, and it kind of rolls under because it's a stockinette. I do have pictures, but I'll try it on for you really quickly. Let me take off my other cardigan. But yeah, the pictures, more detailed pictures are on my Ravelry and also my Instagram. But it's a nice cardigan. I think it looks nice even closed like that, but I really like to wear it the way that it was pictured, and she has it flowing out. Let me stand up and see if this will work. Okay. And it does have decreasing. I'm glad that I looked here at the waist, and I like it because it's a subtle decrease yet, so it doesn't it doesn't look so boxy. And this is how the arms look on. And like I said, it's a really nice, easy pattern. I've already worn it twice this week, which is a surprise because, like I said, it's a departure from my typical knit garments. But I really enjoyed this. I don't want to say I really enjoyed the process because, as I was saying, I was starting to get bored, and it works from the bottom up. So you're working with this long block, and I just felt like I couldn't really envision the finished garment. And I love to do that when I'm creating, whether it's garments, socks, anything. But it was just like this long block, and it felt like it took forever before I would divide for the arm holes. And yes, so I was happy to get that off the needles, and I wanted to get it off the needles before the outfit along. Yes, outfit along, which I'll talk about very soon. So those are my finished objects. Oh no, sorry. I just finished this object, this dress here. I finished it last night. Yes, I stayed up to 3 o'clock in the morning sewing this dress, and I wasn't planning on staying up that long, but you know how it goes. I finished the dress, then I was like, oh, all I have to do is the interfacing, and I could do that. Then I was like, oh, you might as well put the armhole bust in, and then I finished that, and I was like, well, since you went this far, you might as well do the hemming. So I did all of that, and then I had a finished dress this early in the wee hours of this morning, and I really love this dress. And I actually love it so much I wore it today. I used the pattern Simplicity 2444, and I did make many adjustments. I'll quickly talk about this pattern. I created another dress, a plaid dress, which I really adore. It's such a versatile piece in my wardrobe. I wear it all the time. I mean, I remix it up. I might wear it with a vest, I might wear a collar shirt under it, I might wear it with a cardigan, and I have numerous cardigans, and I'll switch up the colors. So I never wear it the same, really. Every now and then I might repeat. And so, but it's just such a nice pattern. And so when I first created that dress, it ran really small, and I couldn't even zip it up. So I made some adjustments. Let me just read them here. And I'm glad I took notes, because I used the same notes when I created it a second time. I let out the back darts. I made them smaller than what was required in the pattern. I didn't like completely omit the back darts because I wanted some shaping. And I also let out the black back pleats. Yeah. And so I didn't fold them in so far. I stitched the side seams. The dress is pretty. I love the construction of this dress. You create the bodice, you put the bodice together, then you, if I'm not mistaken, you put the skirt. How does it go? But anyway, I'll just say then you like do this long side seam down the side. And I love that because it makes the dress come together so quickly. And instead of doing the 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, I did 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. So with those adjustments, I let it out, but I still have some shaping. And let me stand up. And so you see, I still have nice room. And this is what I like. I want to have that room in case I go somewhere and I eat, I get stuffed, and I still, you know, I don't want to feel like I'm about to burst out of my dress, but I still don't want my dress to be slouchy. My pleats in the front are not perfect, and they aren't perfect on my other version of this dress either. So next time, and there will be a next time that I create this pattern, I will just do a gathered skirt. I think that'll be really nice, and I just want to try that out. And here's the back, and there's also pleats, as I said, in the back, and you have the waist shaping there. And oh, let's talk about the fabric. This is my first time working with corduroy. Yes, it's corduroy, and I love it. I want to go to the store so badly. I bought it from Joann's while I was in my master's program in Durham, and I want to create everything in corduroy. And yes, okay, it's a spring/summer day, but first off, the church that I go to is like an ice box. I literally freeze in there. I usually wear one of my cardigans, one of my crop cardigans, and then I would carry along my longer cardigan to put over the cardigan, meaning that's how cold it is, and I'm still in there like freezing. So I knew that I needed this dress actually for today, and so I wore it with my long sleeve Agatha cardigan by Andy Satterlund. And by the way, most of my crop cardigans are Andy Satterlund patterns. She's my favorite designer, and she's also my favorite because it was her designs that really instilled a passion for knitting garments within me. Yes, she wasn't my first knitwear designer garment that I created, but I didn't have that sense of enthusiasm for them. I like my garments, but her patterns, the colors she used, the yarns, the imagery, it's all just so inspiring. And I just don't think I'll ever stop making her patterns, and I hope she never stops creating patterns. But anyway, so this is corduroy, and I really enjoy this fabric. And I do have some more corduroy, which I'm so excited about. And I don't think we'll talk about it in this episode. We'll talk about it in our future episodes when I talk about my acquired treasures. But this, it's just, I love it. So I think it's versatile. It goes with many of my cardigan items, and like I said, I like the construction of this dress. I like to wear with collared shirts under, or to put a dickie under it with a cardigan, or put a vest over it. It's a nice pattern, and I look forward to making more of these. So sorry, that's my Dachshund Sarabi, and she's playing right now, and I'm not going to disturb her because I want her to have fun. So it should be all right. Okay, now let's talk about my works in progress. I am now making a Vivian sweater. It's a Fair Owl sweater. Sarabi. No. It's a Fair Owl. I know I said I wasn't going to disturb her, but she was going too far. It's a Fair Owl sweater, and I created this pattern before using Knit Picks fingering. It was a cotton yarn, and I like it, but I do feel like once I wear it, then it gets this drape to it, and I immediately wash it again to get that bounce, to get it to bounce back, if you get what I'm trying to say. So I wanted to create another using a wool yarn, and so I'm using Knit Picks palette. Hold on a second. Okay. So I'm using Knit Picks palette in French lavender, sky blue, green, and the main color is mist, which is this beautiful gray. I'm actually on the, what is this? The back portion now. I finished the front. Hold on. I did finish the front. And it is a seam piece, which I quite enjoy, because this pattern came from the book Sweater Girls by Rita Taylor. I forgot the other author's name, but I put it in the show notes. And this is just, it's very beautiful. Right now, my method for creating Fair Owl garments is I just pick up one color, I drop it. I pick up the other color, I drop it. However, I've been teaching myself that Alistair Moore method that she suggested in her book. We're going to talk about this book later, but that she suggested in her book, the Book of Fair Owl Knitting. And I like that method because you're doing the English method in one hand and the continental method in the other hand with the two yarns. And with Fair Owl Knitting, you're only working with two yarns, typically on a row. And so I've been practicing with that. One thing I've found is that my gauge gets tighter when I use that method. So this purple section is a bit tighter, let's see, than the other sections. But I'm not too worried about that because in the other sections I was using the pick up the yarn, drop the yarn, pick up the yarn, drop the yarn method. And because I think it'll block out. So I'm quite enjoying that. And I cannot wait till it's finished because it has quite a few of just colors I really like. Green, of course. And I love gray whenever I'm doing color work. I really enjoy using gray. It's just, I like gray. So that's that project. And now let's talk about one of the most exciting things I'm a part of now, which is the Outfit Along, which is hosted by Andy Satterlund, my favorite designer, which we've established, and also Lauren of ladybird.com. Lauren is a sewer, and before I was even imagined sewing, I followed her blog because I love her blog posts. I love her humor. I love her creations, and so I just really enjoy. And she was also creating. She knits also, but she's a big time sewer, an expert sewer. So I just enjoy looking at her blog posts. So when these two joined their forces together to start the Outfit Along, when it first started in 2014, I think was the first year, I was all on board, and I was so excited. That was the first time I ever sewed a dress. But I sewed 2 dresses in that Outfit Along, and I made 2 cardigans. So I made 2 outfits, which is amazing. So this time, And they also suggest, so, okay, the general idea is from June 1st to July 31st. You sew a garment and you knit a garment to get an outfit together. And it's the outfit along. You can make a skirt with a cardigan, skirt with a top, or a knit top, but you sew a garment and you knit a garment. And also you can crochet also. So they suggest patterns, and the first year the pattern was Simplicity 1803, which I really like that pattern. And so much so that I'm using it again for this outfit along. And they also suggest a knit garment. So the knit garment this year is Anaheim by Andy Satterlin. It's this elegant wrap cardigan. It's so vintage, so elegant, so inspired, and it's lace and it's beautiful. So I haven't gotten far. I'm on the back portion so far. As you can see, I haven't gotten far of my Anaheim cardigan, and it's lace, but the sleeves are stockinette. And I wanted to show you my gauge swatch so you can get an idea of how the lace looks. It's really nice pattern. And the yarn I'm using is Knit Picks Sport, Wool of the Andes Sport in Avocado. And I think it's the most beautiful green. First off, I love avocados and I love green. And I was eating the avocado the other day and I was knitting and I was like, oh my goodness, this is the perfect match. It truly is avocado. So that was the perfect name for that. The fabric I'm using, as I mentioned, I'm going to do Simplicity 1803 again. And I'm going to do this version here because I have a dress that I really wear quite a bit in that version. And like I said, I like to put dickies under the dress. It just gives it this nice put together feel. But let's talk about the fabric. This, I've already cut out all of my pieces. This fabric was a gift to me before I went to my master's program from a previous coworker. And she's from West Africa. And this is, sorry, my memory card went out, so I needed to replace it. So again, this is the fabric that I'm using. And I think it's a really nice match for the cardigan yarn choice that I'm using. And actually these pieces here, they mainly show the green and pink, but there's also some blue in the fabric. Let me see if I can find another piece that shows you the blue. Hold on one second. Okay, so there's those blue flashes also. So I'm really pleased with the choice, and as you saw, I underlined the back with the satin simply because cotton can be, to me, a bit flimsy looking, and also I like underlining because then it doesn't stick to my tights, so it kind of gives it a bit of a volume, vavoom to the dress. I can't explain it, instead of it just draping, just falling flat. So that's the outfit along, and I'm so excited about it, and I can't wait because before the end of it all, I have a new dress and a new cardigan. And at first I was thinking about using this dress for the outfit along with this fabric, but I wanted to be fair because it starts on June 1st, and I already cut out this fabric while I was in my master's program last year, and the cut pieces just kind of sat in my stash between moving, so I kind of figured that would give me a head start because the cut fabric was sitting in my stash and all I needed to do was sew it together, which is what I did yesterday. That's why I finished this dress yesterday. I came home around 4 or 5 and I started sewing, and as you can see, I finished the dress in about 11 hours. So I didn't think that would be fair, so I decided to create a brand new dress just to, yes, do right. So now, those are my works in progress for now, and I wanted to move into this section that I would call Archive Treasures. I have created quite a few things over the past years of knitting and crocheting and sewing. And so in this section, should I be wearing one of my past creations or garments, then I'll have a little moment to talk about it and things that I remember from it and things that I've done. I forgot I took this off, but since I wore this to church today, I figured why not have this be the archive treasure for today. And it is an Andy Satulin pattern. Oh, my ring is caught in it. Okay. Yes, it is an Andy Satulin pattern, and I think it's one of her most beautiful designs. When I first became an Andy fan, I saw this design and I thought it was gorgeous, but I didn't want to tackle it. I said lace, and it just seemed, and it's different types of lace, and I said, oh, I'll wait. And I waited longer than I expected, and I actually started knitting it while I was in Durham. I did my master's program in Durham, North Carolina, and I just moved a little, one state below, to Columbia, South Carolina for my doctoral program. So when I say back in Durham, that's what I'm talking about. So while I was in Durham, then I started this cardigan, and of course I got put on the back burner because then I moved home for the summer to Alabama. I'm from Alabama originally, Tuskegee, Alabama, and this was put on the back burner. So then I picked the project back up this year. So it was hibernating for about a year, and I picked it back up. And the bad thing about moving is you lose things. Even though I tried to get things organized and in boxes and label them. For example, I lost my double pointed needles. I lost an entire project, a crochet garment that I was working on. I don't even know what happened to that garment. And so when I picked this back up, I noticed I was short some yarn, and I lost some of the yarn, and I was thinking, oh no, I don't want to have to order some more yarn with a possible different dye lot. But I went back to my mother's home and I did find the yarn. So that was nice. So the yarn is Cascade 220. I love Cascade 220. I especially like the original. I do use the Cascade 220 Superwash, but the original yarn has more substance to it, and it's cozier, if I can describe that correctly. And the color is palm green. Again, the notes are on my Ravelry page. I followed the pattern exactly as printed. I did an extra small, and I quite enjoy it, and I wear it a lot. If I could, I wear it every single day if it wasn't quite so hot. But I still wear it a lot. And like I said, green is a great color for my closet because it just goes with quite a few things. And the buttons I really like because, I don't know if you can see, but they're like this iridescent green / blue. And I picked them up from, I think it was the Joann's in Durham, if I'm not mistaken. So yes, and I'm quite pleased with that. Oh, I wanted to show you the buttons that I have for my outfit alone, but they're too far away. But I'll show it to you later. So this is a really, really, really nice pattern. I can't say it enough. And these pattern writing skills are bar none. I love them. It's just, I love her patterns, the clear instruction, the layout, the schematics, the imagery, everything. I can't go on enough. So this is that, and I'll stand up and just, okay, so give you a little 380. Here's the back. Hope you can see. And there's a lace panel down the side. And it has cuffed sleeves, which is one of my favorite parts of this garment. And I also like the crew neck. That's my favorite type of neckline. I do like V-necks because it shows the peep of the dress, but crew necks are my favorite. So that's the archive treasure for today. And I quickly wanted to get into the acquired treasures. There are not many. For the outfit along, I went to Joann's, which is not a good idea when you don't want to buy things. But I went to Joann's for a zipper. and they had a sale on Butterick patterns for $1.99. So I picked up 5. There was a limit of 10 per person, but I didn't see myself getting that. So the first was a Gertie pattern, B6284, and I think this is beautiful. I think that it'll look nice in a casual fabric, but I also think it'd be nice for a special occasion like it's pictured here, or even a wedding dress. Yes, that would be beautiful. So I picked that up. And I have Gertie's book for vintage casual, and I really like her style and her aesthetic and her blog, and she's amazing. I also picked up, this was a surprise, B5895, and this was a surprise because I would have never thought I'd pick up a pair of pants, but I like that vintage cigarette pants look, and I didn't even know that the top came in addition to it. I mainly bought it for the pants, but I think that's a nice addition. This other Gertie pattern is B6323, and I like that one shoulder sleeve. It's funny because I love this dress, and I don't ever wear one shoulder sleeves. I think the last time I wore a one shoulder garment was either high school or my undergraduate years, but that should be fun, and most likely I'm going to throw a cardigan over the dress anyway, like I always do. However, it's good to have the option. You never know, I might go somewhere special, and maybe that dress will be the dress that I will wear. And I also just picked up these basic patterns, B6319, and this comes, the cardigan and the dress is included in this pattern. Not too crazy about the cardigan at all, but I like the dress. And here's another basic dress pattern, B6316. Every time I participate in an outfit along, I go in the sewing section and I get so inspired and I always add new patterns. I don't have a big pattern collection now. I only have a few, but it was still nice to add those things, and I look forward to making some dresses with those patterns, and also those cigarette pants. Nice. I would love to create a pair of pants and wear them with my penny loafers. That'd be nice. Okay, this is about to come to an end. I've talked quite a bit. I didn't know that it would go on this long, but I figured at the end of each episode, I will talk about what is catching my interest these days. And things catch my interest. And when they catch my interest, I become a fanatic. I love things. So, the thing that's catching my interest these days is Alice Starr Moore. I started watching the Fruity Knitting podcast and also the Charm of It podcast, two of my favorite podcasts. And Andrea from Fruity Knitting made the most stunning, beautiful, crisp, elegant, I can't think of enough words, garments that I've ever seen in my life. And the name that she was throwing out was Alice Starr Moore. Now, I've been knitting since 2007, so that's 10 years. But I've never heard of Alice Starr Moore. I feel like I was living under a knitting rock. And I did read the back of a book about Sweater Quest, that's the name of the book, some years ago, about a lady who made it her goal to knit a sweater in a year. But I didn't know that the pattern she was talking about was the Alice Starr Moore pattern. Her designs are like art. They're just stunning. And can you imagine wearing a garment that's like a piece of art on your body? Yes. So I'm obsessing over Alice Starr Moore, big time. So the first thing I did was I wanted to learn how to do better fair owl knitting. And so I purchased this book, which is so helpful. And as I stated earlier, I've already started using her method of the stranded knitting, using the English and continental style. And also she has a section on steeks. I've never done steeks, but I want to do steeks so badly because I feel like I would have reached another level in my knitting life. And the book is just amazingly beautiful. And she even gives free well, not free, but bonus patterns. So maybe one day I'll be able to create something of my own with these designs. So I love that. Then, this was the book I was most excited about because Andrea from Fruity Knitting created, and Eva from the Charm of It created a garment using this book. And this book is To the Roses by Alistair Moore. I'm just going to quickly give you a background. I was a history major. My bachelor's is in history. As I stated, my master's has a concentration in archives. And now I'm pursuing cultural institutions, museums, and archives. So I'm a big history buff. Like, I can literally read English history, Tudor history forever, look at documentaries, and not even only that type of history, but it's one of my favorite subjects. So when I saw this book that blended together two things that I love, English history and knitting, I knew I had to have it. And not only that, but the designs are so, so beautiful. So, in addition to that, I ordered a kit from Alistair Moore's website for, hold on a second, here it is. The Jane Seymour cardigan. Okay, that's not the best image, but that's the most beautiful thing, one of the most beautiful things, because all of her designs, I want to knit everything in this book, but it's one of the most beautiful things. And here's another image. So my kit is coming in the mail, and instead of using that red as the background color, I think the color is called Red Rattle. I instead wanted to use, you guessed it, green, because I love green, as I've stated a million times. And so the green that Alistair Moore has is Bog Bean, which I think is a lovely, lovely name. So I ordered it in green, and I left all of the other colors exactly the same, because I know that the green and gold is going to go so well together, because Andrea created the Catherine Parr for her daughter, Madeline, in that Bog Bean and gold color. Gold, you see how the gold highlights there? And it was the most beautiful combination. So I know that that green as the main color, and with everything else the same, it's going to look so lovely. And I think it'll go quite nicely with this dress that I'm wearing. So I cannot wait for that kit to come in the mail and to create an Alistair Moore pattern. That would be simply amazing. I would feel like I reached another level in my knitting. Well, I've talked quite a bit, and I'm not sure how often I will do these podcasts. I will try to do at least 2 a month, maybe more. We'll see how much I've created, and if there I feel a need to break it down, because I don't want to have really, really, really long episodes. I'd rather just break up the episodes. Thank you so much for your time, and I really hope that you enjoyed this episode, and I'll talk to you all later. If you have any questions, comments, things you'd like for me to cover in more detail, or things you'd like for me to talk about, I'm more than happy to do so. And I even thank you if you've made it this far into the podcast. I didn't know I could talk so long about knitting, but it's something that I absolutely enjoy and love. Thank you, and have a blessed day. Bye.